The Dark Quarter contains adult language and adult themes. This playthrough will involve spoilers. New Orleans, Louisiana, circa 1980, a vibrant city of music, food, and magic. Up and down Bourbon Street, neon lights flicker in dirty puddles. The innovations of the modern world clash with the ancient and terrible traditions here. Here, answers don't come easy, and when it comes to murder, there's always more than meets the eye. Winter Mullins saw dead people. He could even talk to the poor bastards, which would drive most people insane. The good news was that Mullins could only see them when he was drunk. The bad, he was almost always drunk. Mullins' unwanted party trick developed around the time he lost his dream job as a head chef at one of the most decorated restaurants in the city. The manner of his exit was violent enough to ensure that no one else would hire him, not even the hole-in-the-wall grease cooks slinging po' boys and dirty rice. Left with nothing, Mullins began to drink like the devil himself, and with his newfound hobby came newfound drinking buddies, rotten corpses which never shut the fuck up. Why this happened to him he didn't know, but he did find himself an unlikely job at the Pavement agency. An investigator who could speak to the dead often came in handy. Even if he was perpetually drunk, most people didn't mind, though, since Mullins, despite being 18 sheets to the wind on any given day, was one charming son of a bitch. Julia Paris was an angelic child born to a wealthy New Orleans family, was, as her father often put it, the perfection of God. Entering her teenage years, she did not do any of the wild things one might expect of a spoiled debutante. Instead, she sat in her garden for hours on end, taking in the beauty of nature. She was there, writing poetry, when a casket girl crawled over the wall and buried her teeth into Paris's neck. The year was 1891. Paris had been 18. After an unusually brief adjustment period, Paris embraced the eternal death as fully as she had her innocent garden dream in life. The next 40 years were a haze of gluttonous indulgences and violent rampages. On her 60th birthday, tired of life's excesses, she fully committed to the convent. On her 70th birthday, she became the youngest arch casket girl in history, and on the eve of her 80th birthday, she was exiled after discovering someone locked deep within the convent's dungeons. Paris now works with the Pavement agency, attempting to make up for a lifetime of cruelty and violence. So far, it isn't going very well. New Orleans, 1981. It was the hottest August on record in New Orleans. The humidity blanketed the city like a mass of rancid honey. Jazz riffs leaked out of the French Quarter, valiantly trying to pierce the sweltering air. People stumbled from street to street and parish to parish, as if in a sweat-drenched trance. If ever the city lived up to its ancient nickname, the Wet Grave, it was the summer of 81. The murder was brutal and archaic. The victim, the mayor's chief assistant, Frank Boussoir, was powerful and important. It was the perfect storm of bad juju. From the moment a patrolman came upon the glory display in Louis Armstrong Park, reporters and rubberneckers swarmed the crime scene almost before the NOPD could rope it off. The detective in charge took one look, vomited into the bushes, the first time in his career that a crime scene had turned his ironclad stomach, and said out loud to no one in particular, "This is going to hang on our necks like a fucking millstone if we don't put it to bed immediately." A call was made for outside help, a call no one really wanted to make. But in this instance, the NOPD wasn't above begging. Thus, the Pavement agency was asked to consult on what would become the first of the Congo Murders. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's me, Scott. Welcome to One Last Hand. Welcome to The Dark Quarter. Dark Quarter is an interesting one. It's a game that was, I think, kickstarted maybe 2-3 years ago. I feel like I didn't back it actually, but it was marred by all sorts of problems with development. It's literally only just been delivered, and even when it got delivered through that Kickstarter, the app that you need to play the game wasn't available. I picked this up in retail. It's available. I've also got the expansion, which is called something. It is called the Dark Quarter Lost to the Night. So if we play through this and we enjoy it, let me know, and we will get that expansion to the table. This is an adult game using the app to tell a story. It's more a sort of narrative game than it is about mechanics. We're going to be making dice checks to try and uncover clues and solve the murder, the first Congo murder. And I assume that means there's going to be more. We have two characters. We have Winter Mullins. I read the intro. I just want to talk a little bit about the character sheet. For every dice roll or every check that we make, we're going to roll these two large chunky dice. We have a 1, a 3, a 2, and another 3 on these dice. Then we have a 4, and we have this star symbol. This star symbol equals 0. However, we might have cards that allow us, if we get a star, to do something else. For example, our rum says before any test results, add 1 and then subtract 1 success for every star result. So we're going to add 1, but if we roll one of these, we'd subtract it. If we drink our rum, you'll notice that these cards have QR codes on. We're going to be scanning them as we're questioning people to uncover clues. At the start of every turn, we're also going to get one of these dice. These are our focus dice. They have a 1, a 2, another 2, and a 3 on them. And then they have a success token or option and another star. Again, that star could be used to trigger other effects. So that's how we make skill checks. How do we know whether we succeed or pass? We do that based on these tokens here. You can see we've got these dividing lines in this board. Any cube here from 1 to 6 is going to be relatively easy to achieve because we are always going to be rolling these two dice. In this instance, we got a 5. Let's assume we were doing a charisma check. We'd have got 1 success because we've got 1 cube here. If we rolled, let's say we rolled 4 dice and somehow we managed to get all 4s on these things, or let's say these all had successes on. So in this instance, we'd have an 8. We'd look at this board and we could see there are now 2 cubes within the 8 bracket. So we'd have got 2 successes here, plus an additional 3 successes from these dice. We would then put those into the app to say we got 3 successes or 8 successes or whatever the number is, and the app is going to give us the results. So that's us. We're pretty okay at charisma. Just to talk about this is focus, combat, arcane, and charisma. We're pretty okay at some things. We're not very good at fighting as winter goes, but we also have this card up here. We all start with a starting skill, and in this instance is that we can add a success, or if we guess the number. So when let's say we rolled these 2 dice and we said, I think I'm going to get a 3. When we roll these, if we had indeed got a 3, we'd be able to add 1 success automatically to this. So that's our starting skill over here. We also get a little miniature for winter, and then we have Julia. So similar scenario. We've got some money. We've got a love potion. We have rush of hunger. Each time any of your skills is degraded for any reason, refresh one of your effort die or gain 1 experience. That's these tokens here. And when we get experience, we're going to be able to add those up as a pool. We get it collectively, and then we'll be able to upgrade our character. We might be able to buy a new card. We might be able to upgrade some of these skills. So exactly the same here. Julia is a vampire who I'm sure we're going to have some interesting stories with. Okay, I think that's everything you need to know about the characters. We've got our map over here. What I would say is that a lot of this game is played on the app. Probably too much of this game is played on the app. So I've put the app in screen. I apologize for some of my pronunciation of some of the names and other things. I don't know much French, first of all, but I also don't know much about some of the themes I'm sure we're going to come into. And obviously, just a final warning, I did put a warning right at the start, but it is an adult game. It is going to have swearing in. I'll censor some of it, but I'll also read some of it. So, if that's not your thing, there's also going to be some pretty sensitive subject matter, I'm sure. Okay. Game progress will be saved automatically. And then we get into the setup stage. So we've got the city of New Orleans. We've set up the board. Then we have the Beaumont agency, which we need to place on the board. So that goes about here. And agency headquarters me just zoom in now we've seen it on the board. Agency headquarters, and the office of Director Sophie Romero. I'll be brief here. The evidence file straight from the NIPD, but it's as thin as my fucking patience. So track down whoever did Boussoir in and work out why they chose to do it like this. Romero returned to her work, dismissing the agents. Place all character miniatures at the office. Now we could, if we wanted to, we could have played this with more characters. One of the reasons I'm not is just the space element of it. You can see we've placed our little miniatures here. So yeah, from our point of view, the space is probably the main reason, but each character's story is going to be interwoven into this story. So, you know, there is a bit of replayability, but I get the feeling once you've played this, you've played it. I don't know if you'd circle back around, but so we've placed our people here, place all characters on the miniature board at the point of interest marker. We have Congo Square, which is down here on the map. So you can see we're placing this point of interest turned dark side down. When we flip it over, we're visiting that location. The scene of Boussoir's brutal murder. I think I'm pretty sure I'm butchering this fella's name, but you know that's how I'm pronouncing it. So I apologize. Feel free to tell me how I should have been pronouncing it, but you know, for the first few episodes, this is how we're going with Boussoir. Okay, I reckon it might be Bossaroo, but anyway, City Hall. We have another point of interest. We'll tuck this up here. 2 years earlier, a brutal murder with striking similarities to Boussoir's killing had occurred at the home of NOPD homicide detective Maria Robicheaux. Wife of decorated officer John Robicheaux was found strapped to a wooden cartwheel, her limbs shattered. The case was never solved. So interestingly, John Robicheaux is a character that we could play in this game. If we wanted to. I've chosen to go with Winter. One of the main reasons is a lot of the videos I've seen briefly have been playing John. So I thought we'd go with something different. They've all got their own story, so it'll be interesting to see. The Robicheaux family house sealed shut and empty for nearly 2 years. So it's Winter Mullins' turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our effort die and refresh them, because that's what we do at the start of every turn. God damn it, not today, Mullins muttered when he got Romero's page. His head felt like a watermelon dropped into a meat grinder. His fault entirely, as the previous night he'd been at the Napoleon House, drinking himself into oblivion, as he often did on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and so on. At least he wasn't being harassed by any goddamn ghosts, which was the only positive thing he could say about the pounding between his ears. Shit, maybe some fresh air will do me a bit of good, Mullins laughed. Who was he kidding? The only cure for a hangover this epic was a fifth of golden brown. But he'd worry about that later. Off to the agency first. So, we know that the file is pretty slim at the agency, so I'm actually going to go straight to the crime scene. We're going to visit Congo Square, so we get to flip this over, and then we get to get a location card. So we've got a whole deck of location cards here. We're going to pick up 001, which is what it says on the app. There you go. There is location card 001, and I'm going to tuck this over here. The entrance to Louis Armstrong Park. The park was a madhouse. Throngs of people gawked at the entrance, trying to see past the crime scene tape and catch a glimpse of the grisly display beyond. There is a police officer here. So we've got a whole sheet of tokens. You can see we've already taken some out, but it tells you to keep them in here. So we've got a police officer, which we're going to tuck near the entrance. A frazzled police officer. At the front of the crowd guarding the crime scene was a frazzled beat cop. The poor schmuck was in his early 20s, still wet behind the ears, and trying to hold back the crowd like the leaves before Hurricane Betsy. And honestly, he wasn't faring much better than the leaves had. And there is a tall man. This is a tall man. We're going to tuck him at the back here. He's loitering at the back. A tall, mysterious man. At the back of the crowd, Mullins noticed a man quietly staring at the spectacle, not moving or saying a word. Mullins wouldn't have paid attention to him if not for the fact that he was a good foot taller than anyone else around. So we now get to choose what we're going to do. I think Just going to zoom in on the tablet here. I think I'm going to go and speak to the tall man. I don't, why not? I don't know why we think he's suspicious other than he's tall. Mullins approached the tall man casually. What's this city coming to, am I right? The man looked down at Mullins as if acknowledging a gnat, and then returned his gaze to the spectacle. Dark days are upon us, he said. The dark days are upon us, he said, the deepest bass voice that Mullins had ever heard. The man was quite frankly terrifying. He would not be easy to intimidate. Question the man. So we're going to go do a test. So this is a charisma test. It's a questioning test. So we get to roll some dice. We know that if we look at our board over here, Mullins' success for one success is a 5. I'm going to roll 2 of these dice. I'm going to roll 3 of these dice. So we're going to roll these, and we got a 8. So 8 is 2 successes in our charisma track. So if we come back to the tablet, we will enter 2 successes and hit confirm. Success entered, 2 is correct. The man barely acknowledged Mullins, but he didn't tell him to get lost either. So this is showing us we've got 2 questions remaining because we got 2 successes. Our effort die that we rolled is now exhausted, but our 2 main dice go back into the pool. What do you make of this? So we could scan something in. So I could maybe show him my bottle of rum and say, what do you make of this bottle of rum? Who are you and why are you interested in the Boussoir murder? How the hell did you get so tall? Let's ask him who he is and why he's interested. My name is my own, and my business the same. We could coax, we could intimidate, or we could drop the subject. Let's try and coax. So when you get one of these checks, one of these is going to be good and one of these is going to be bad. We never know which one, but it did give us a hint that intimidating was going to be impossible. So let's go with coax. It bears repeating that there's dark days for our city. As a servant of the Cazador Inc., I'm here to bear witness. The man considered Mullins carefully. I sense the same concern in you, so I give you this one morsel. Voodoo magic is involved. Mullins has uncovered a new lead, a mysterious organisation known as the Cazador Inc. Gain 1 success. So we are going to gain 1 of these tokens, and I'm actually just going to tuck these tokens on the edge of the map, working their way up here, so we can track them. These are a joint pool. At the end of a scenario, we're going to get to an intervention. That's not right. What's it called? Hold on. An intermediate. That's not it either. Hold on. Intermission. That's the one. I knew the word was close to the tip of my tongue. We're going to get to spend these points, so that's why they're useful. Okay. If the arcane was involved and there was one person who was sure to have answers, Madame Babette Bordeaux. Dixieland Drugstore. So we've got a new location on the map. So I'm going to tuck this over here because that's where it is. And that's that. Let's come back to the tablet and just see what else we've got. We've got, how the hell did you get so tall? What can you tell me about Cazador Inc.? We are all that stands between the Diablos and the good people of this city. We are the bulwark between New Orleans and Dark Orleans. Let's try coaxing again. We do not usually associate with your kind, but these killings are too momentous for us to draw partisan lines. You will find the office of Cazador Inc. in the Cabildo, and there you may find answers. Mullins knew the building, but didn't know who called it home. Gain another 1, so we're two knowledge, or this is called experience, so we've got those. And we now know that the Cabildo is over here, and we know that this is a point of interest. This could be really important to us understanding what the heck is going on. The seat of the Spanish government, when it held the territory, now home to the Cazador Inc. The man barely acknowledged Mullins. That's the end of our turn. We can hit yes, and now we move over to Julia. The first thing we do is get our effort die, and then we click OK. And Julia has free reign to go where she wants. I think I'm going to send her to this place to see what we can find out. There could be Cabildo, just to see if there's anything here straight off the bat. Cabildo sat in the shadows of St. Louis Cathedral, dwarfed in all respects. Paris ignored the main door which led to the museum and approached a small, seemingly insignificant side door. This was the real entrance to the Cabildo. Like most things in Dark Orleans, The less significant they appeared, the more important they actually were. She grabbed the simple brass knocker and rapped it against the wood. The door opened by a surprisingly young man. He was fiercely handsome, if not for the severity of his features, suggesting religious fanaticism. The man looked like he'd never enjoyed a laugh in his life. Okay, we've got a new man. There's a new man here. This man is number 13. So on the back of this board, we've got the numbers. We're going to find number 13, and we are going to place them in place of this point of interest. So if we just jump over to the map, you can see, here we go. This guy is down here now. We can remove this point of interest. Okay. The man's gaze was piercing and stern, but he was welcome, and his welcome was polite, if a bit cold. How can I help you? Paris cleared her throat. Can I ask you some questions? We wonder if we should have investigated the body, but, you know, what can you do? So we're going to roll some dice. We're rolling all of them. So we have a 6 and a success. Paris's wrong zoom. Paris's special power is that every time she degrades a stat, we can increase something. So we don't have anything that benefits with the roll, but we could have used maybe a charisma check over here to add some points to it. But we got a 6, which is 1 success, and we rolled a straight success. So we can add that to that as well, and we can hit confirm. Is this correct? Yes. So we spend our die, and we can now look at what the man is saying. So we can ask 2 questions. Who are you? Can you explain what type of institution you are exactly? I met one of yours in Congo Square. Who is he? Can you explain what kind of institution you are? Does it suffice to say that we serve God and protect New Orleans against all that is ungodly? Let's coax. If it was history you're after, then know that the founder of our tribunal was Antonio de Sedela, who arrived in New Spain in the year of our Lord 1774 as a member of the Holy Office of the Inquisition. You know what the Inquisition is? I hope that has satisfied your curiosity. Okay, I met one of yours. Can I join the ranks of the Inquisition? I met one of yours in the square. Who is he? Is that so? I cannot tell, I'm afraid. Let's try and intimidate him. If you say he was tall, then it must have been Domingo. You might meet with him under different circumstances if you keep that tone of yours. Paris thought it impossible, but the man's face turned even more grim. End your turn. Okay. Get 3 gone, and do not darken our doorstep again. Get thee gone, and do not darken our doorstep again, sinner. The door slammed in Paris's face, and that was that. Paris had to say that she'd never heard anyone say sinner with more such burning hatred. Sinner! She would comply with the order, at least for the time being. Okay, so it's Mullins' turn. We get to refresh an effort die, so we'll put that up there. And fortunately, the fog in Mullins' head was clearing out, and the pounding was now more of a dull throb. Unfortunately, instead of bringing back his much-needed focus, sobering up brought some shit with it that Mullins would just as soon have forgotten. The previous night was still blurry, but one overriding memory cut through the haze when Mullins had left his weathered cortina to make the short drive home. It hit something on Orleans Avenue, just north of Louis Armstrong Park. There had been a thump. Was it the curb? Was it a pothole? Was it a stray fucking dog? But it had barely registered at the time as he kept driving. Shit, was Mullins all could say, the thump ringing in his ears like it had happened moments ago. Well, better see what that was then. Against his better judgment, he decided to investigate. Working on the case would be hard enough without this hanging over him like a shroud. On the bright side, at least it wasn't far from Congo Square. Okay, so we did a hit and run last night. Great. This is over here somewhere. And what happened to Mullins on Orleans Avenue? Mark the location. So these little tokens signify that this is something specific to Mullins, and only Mullins will be able to go and investigate this one. We're still at this crime scene. I think we're good here. Okay, we could go and do that, but I'm going to stick around and go to Congo Square still and investigate the crime scene. Let's talk to the police officer. Mullins forced his way through the crowd and flashed his identification. I'm with Beaumont Agency. I need to get in to look at the crime scene. The cop barely glanced at the ID, frantically making sure no one forced their way past the tape. You and every other rubbernecker here? Beat it, pal. I don't have time for your bullshit. Charm your way past the cop or use magic. We're going to charm. We're going to use all of our dice. So we have 3 dice here. Let's just roll all of these. Okay, we have a 2. Oh, I should have guessed the number. I kept forgetting to do my gambling, man. I could have guessed the number to get an extra success. So we've got 5, 9, which is 2 successes. So we were using charisma. And there we go. The young buck's eyes went wide when he looked closer. Oh, shit. Captain said you were coming. I'm sorry. It's just been so crazy. It's almost Cockney. Please don't say anything to him. Please. So I get to improve. Let's just zoom in so you can see this. I get to improve one of my charisma. Now, we always start at the end of a row, I think. I don't know what happens when we increase 1 charisma. And let's have a look here. So we're up here. We get to increase 1 charisma. So we take this one and we move it here. Now, that might not seem like a lot because obviously we still need to roll 9. But if we roll 9, we're now getting 3 successes in charisma. That's pretty big. Okay. All because we scared the cop. Right, so the cop is out of here. So we can take him off this. And we can click OK. And now we get a new crime scene. The site of the murder. So this is Louis Armstrong Park. With the gawking crowd held back at the entrance, it was quiet here, but not by much. Police swarmed all over the grounds like ants. Beat cops, plainclothes cop detectives, and forensic photographers. That's a word. Okay, so we've got Detective LeBlanc. Okay, he's here. We can tuck him here. The man in charge of this circus. One detective in particular stood out. Apparently the king of this circus. He was almost certainly the lead detective on the case. And we've got a point of interest, which goes up here, which is the victim. At the centre of the square lay Bissot's body. Okay. So we get to continue. Now I could continue, or I could hold on and take a second to get this dice back. But I think I'm going to go and speak to I'm going to go look at the body. Let's not speak to the detective. Let's just go and see what we can find out. Mullins nearly gagged when he stepped onto the stage and saw what was there. Okay, card number 3 is this one here. Apologies for the goriness. Let's bring this down because I think this looks like it's going above this card. So that can go there. Okay, let's just have a look. The artwork is pretty cool in this. We've got some shoes. We've got some drawings on the ground. We've got the forensics here as well. Okay. So let's just jump back to the tablet. An old cartwheel where the kind that would have borne wagons across the plains hundreds of years ago was the exact center of the stage. Boussoir was on it, spread-eagled, his hands and feet lashed to the wheel with some kind of white fibrous material. His eyes were wide open, and his face was frozen in a rictus of agony. It wasn't difficult to see why the man's arms and legs were bent and twisted like wet noodles. The bones had been pulverized to dust. He looked like a marionette at rest, his limp limbs just waiting for the jerk of a puppet master's hands to spring to life. There was blood everywhere. Investigate the body. Have a drink to talk to the victim's ghost. I mean, let's investigate the body first. We'll come back to the drinking in a bit. Okay, we're rolling 2 dice. We do have a 5 to try and succeed on this one. So if we look at our board, we can see our focus is 5. So we're rolling 2 dice because that's all we've got in our pool. And I think I'm going to say we're going to roll a 4. Okay, we rolled a 4 and we also got a star. So a star doesn't count for anything. I could use our rum, but I don't want to. I would have had to have done that before the roll. However, I did roll a 4, and according to our card here, We name a number before the test, roll the total, and if we roll the total, we get 1 success. So we get 1 success to investigate this body. Okay. Examine the hands, examine the head, examine the symbol, examine the wheel. I think we're going to examine the hands. Rigor mortis had set in, and Boussoir's hand was frozen in the shape of a claw. Mullins looked closer at the fibres binding the body to the wheel. He wasn't a rope expert by any means, but they were made of a material he'd never seen before. Okay, I could have a drink and speak to the ghost. I mean, let's do it. Have a drink to talk to the ghost. So we have to scan in a card. So if we just zoom down to this, you can see we've got our card right in the middle here. We can use the camera to find the card, and that's money. That's not what we wanted. Where is it? Over here. And then we can touch the screen, and that's going to scan it in. Okay. Here we go, Mullins muttered Mullins. So once we drink this, it's done. You can't have more drinks than one. Okay, here we go, muttered Mullins, as before taking a swig, the familiar burning sensation followed. Now just to wait. Discard the rum. We have done so. He didn't have to wait long. Unearthly screams that he knew only he could hear were not what his headache needed, but well, it clearly wasn't his day anyway. Boussoir's screaming ghost manifested above the mangled body, like a wisp of mist attempting to look like a human, and oh, how it screamed. That's the problem with the newly dead, Mullins thought, as the hangover did its best to make his head explode. They tend to be stuck reliving their deaths for a while, and this poor guy had a particularly shitty death. But just as soon as the apparition began to fade, Mullins realised he recognised some of the repeating words in the most inarticulate shriek. Among them, Laveau. Well, that was interesting. So we gain 1 success. I'm going to call these success a lot. 1 experience. Mullins had uncovered a new lead. There is a connection between this case and the Laveau Corporation. And while Mullins didn't yet know the connection, what the connection was, he had little doubt that it would prove significant. I gain another 1 of these, and we have to put the Laveau Corp building onto the thing. I haven't got any tokens, bear with. Okay. So we can now put this, and it goes right up here near the top of the map. So that goes there. Okay. I did have a token, I was lying to you. I've got one right here. Okay. So we put that on the boat. The most powerful organization of all of New Orleans. The scene was horrifying. We have to end his turn. Okay. Julia Paris, we get to refresh a die. And we get to do whatever we want to do. So what have we learned? We could send her to the crime scene to do some digging around. Okay, so Julia is going to come down and go to the... does she want to talk to the tall man? No, let's get her to go and see LeBlanc. Visit LeBlanc. The detective looked up as Paris approached him. You from Beaumont? Paris nodded. I'm LeBlanc. I'm the lead on this shit show. And just so we're crystal clear, I don't want you all here. But that wasn't my call. That call was made above my pay grade. Ask your questions, take a look-see, and then get the hell out of my crime scene. Quite the friendly sort. Question LeBlanc. Okay, we could use a love potion. I don't think we will. We'll just roll 3 dice and see what we get. So we have a success and then a 3. That is 1 success. Not ideal. Okay. 1 success, which means we're going to be able to ask him 1 question. I could ask him what he thinks of this. We don't have anything to show him other than our love potion. Do you have any leads? What can you tell me about Cazador? What can you tell me about Laveau? Let's ask about Cazador. What's interesting about this is obviously Paris wasn't here when we uncovered the lead on Laveau, but she knows about it. And equally the flip side around. So it's quite interesting that that's the case. What can you tell us about Cazador? The most dangerous assholes are the ones in the divine mandate. I keep as far away from those zealots as I can. Let's try and coax him. Listen, if you really want to take chances, you can drop in at the Cabildo and see what Cazador is all about. But don't say I didn't warn you. Well, get on with it. LeBlanc had the charm of a 2x4. That's the end of our turn. Okay, we're back to Mullins. He gets a die. We need to go and investigate. Mullins was considering where to investigate next when the hairs on his back of his neck went up as his danger sense kicked in. We've got combat. Mullins is not good at combat. I will just say that. We're rolling 3 dice. I'm going to say we're going to get a 7 on these 3 dice. So, okay, let me show you what I'm rolling. Okay, we got a star, we got a 2, and we got a success. Think I'm getting my ass kicked. Okay. Mullins wasn't fast enough. A sucker punch right to the kidneys knocked him to the ground. The assailant was a young, stocky man in a red leather jacket. He grinned at Mullins and backed up, raising his hands as if he meant no harm. Are we not in a crime scene? As he meant no harm, which clearly was bullshit. No hard feelings, Beaumont. I'm here to have a chat. I mean, he literally walked into a crime scene and punched me in the gut. What do you want? Fight the man. Use arcane against him. Let's find out what he wants. Glad we can talk like civilized people. Now I'm going to need you to listen real good. I heard you've been sniffing around the Laveau Corporation. I'm here to let you know, in the clearest possible terms, that it would be greatly appreciated should you direct your attention elsewhere. By all means, do your thing, but do it away from the corporation. Capiche? Go fuck an elephant, dickhead. What's your point? Your point's been made. We'll back off. What's in it for me? You know what? Let's go with the bottom one. I can pick up what you're putting down. The man winked. Reach for a wallet. A small donation. Will a small donation suffice? You know, to help the investigation along. Yeah, your generosity is much appreciated. We get a money, so we're now up to 2 cash, which is great news. Mullins took the wad of cash from the man. His pang of conscience was placated by the increased thickness of his wallet. Take 1 money. Okay, we've done so. Glad we could reach an understanding. Pass it along to your pals. Now, we're still going to come there and... Oh, no! It's been removed. Didn't think that was going to be... Okay, well, we've got other leads, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Paris is back with a die. Okay. So Paris is still... I don't think... She's not great at investigating. So... Should we get her to speak to the detective again? Okay, detective, what you got for us? Question LeBlanc. Right, we're rolling 3 again for more questions this time. We got a 8, which is in total 2 successes. That's 2 questions. Do you have any kind of leans? What can you tell me about Cazador? So the other corporation is completely off the table now. I don't know how I've done that, but not sure that's wise. Do you have any leads? What can you tell us about Cazador? Do you have any leads? Just because someone with more brass on their lapel than me wants you here, that don't mean I've got to get my cliff notes on the case. Let's try and coax. Jesus, you Beaumont types can't get a clue, can you? We ain't singing Kumbaya here. You're on your own. Okay. What do you think of this? Let's scan in the love potion. I think this is a waste of time, but let's just see how this works. So, what the fuck do you think about? What the fuck do you think I know about that? Quit wasting my time, lady. Okay, good. So that was a complete waste of all of our time. We're back with Mullins on turn 4. Mullins was pretty convinced that something bad might have happened while he'd been driving home. He really needed to spare a moment to check, or else it would keep eating him up. So I do need to go there, but I need to do this investigation. We're getting 1 die. I'm going to investigate 1 more time. I need you to be our investigator. Investigate the body. We're rolling all 3 dice. And we got... I forgot to choose a number. We got 5 plus that, so that's 2 successes. Okay, great. So we can examine the hand, examine the symbol, examine the wheel. Sorry, the head, the symbol, or the wheel. Retrieve the rope fiber. Let's examine the head. Up close, Boussoir's face was even more horrifying. His eyes were scarlet from burst blood vessels, and Mullins could barely see his pupils. His mouth was open in an eternal, unending scream that Mullins could almost hear in his own head. Looking closer, he saw something lodged deep in Boussoir's throat. Examine the symbol, examine the wheel. We want to try and get one of these things. Let's try and get this thing from his mouth. We're rolling 2 dice here. I need a 5 to succeed. Here we go. We got a 5. I didn't choose a 5. I should have. I'm an idiot. 1 success. Mullins pulled out a pair of tweezers and quickly glanced around the crime scene, checked no one was watching. When he made sure the coast was clear, he reached deftly with the tweezers and removed a small, tightly rolled parchment. Take card 01 from the story deck. That's this deck here. And this is 01. There you go. I'm going to tuck this down the bottom of the board here because I don't know where else to put it. So we'll tuck that there. You have in this game a shared inventory. So you have your own personal inventory, but you also have a shared one. So our cash is down here. Take the note from the deck and gain 1 success. No, experience. Okay. The scene was horrifying. End your turn. Okay. Julia. There's a casket girl here, 22. Okay. That's this lady here. So we can put her on the front entrance here. But let's talk to the casket girl then, shall we? The vamp watched the crowd hungrily. Okay. So we get 1 die back. The crowd and the smell of blood had attracted the attention of the casket girl. The bloodsucker would be looking for an easy kill, and a large crowd of blinkers was the perfect opportunity. Did I not do it? Oh no. Yes. We're going to speak to the casket girl. The casket girl offered Paris a coy smile as she approached. Hey sugar, what you looking at? You're not welcome here. Piss off back to the convent. Do you know what happened here? Let's ask her if she knows anything. The sister looked Paris up and down before replying with a sweet smile. Sorry, honey, you missed all the fun, but I can guarantee you it was bloody. I'd bet money on it. You're not welcome here. Piss off back to the convent. Any leads on who might have done this? Smacks of dead Saturdays. Those grave-robbing whores are always up to something violent. She paused. My kind of people, actually. Paris uncovered a new lead called the Dead Saturdays. Is involved somehow. Pleasant sounding bunch. Gain 1 more of these. Great. A experience. If you need any information on roving bands of criminal, both with the regular and magical variety, then Black's Rex was your man. In addition to being privy to the ongoings of Dark Orleans, he ran the brisk black market operation and would sell you his grandmother if the price was right. Only catch was that in order to speak to him, you had to walk into the house of rest for the weary boatman. Paris remembered the last time she stepped foot in the boatman. Her jaw is still sore. Her jaw still remembered as well. Okay, another point of interest over here. Hive of scum and villainy. You're not welcome here. Piss off. Insolent little shit. The girl's eye turned red, and Paris could have sworn her fangs and grey claws grew longer. She prepared to fend off the sister's incoming attack. Use magic or fight. Let's fight. We're a fighter, right? We've got 3 dice to roll. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we got 4. We got 10. And 10 is 3 successes. Huge. Paris exchanged several blows with the vampire, finally landing one on her lovely chin. The hit snapped the bloodsucker's head back and quickly returned her to reality. Improve combat by 1, so we get to move this down into this area. Means we're going to be a little bit stronger. Okay, great. The crowd, startled by the violent outburst, turned their attention to the casket girl. She immediately donned her normal appearance and left in a hurry. Coward. Okay, casket girl is out of here. See ya, love. As Paris calmed herself, a heavy hand fell on her shoulder. It was the tall man who then, without a word, walked off in the same direction as the casket girl had gone. Okay, tall man's out here as well. Look at us clearing up this crime scene. Whatever next? Julia smelled blood and she felt a stirring in her throat. God damn it, not now, she thought. The past month had been particularly difficult for managing her hunger. She'd been upfront about her issues when she joined the agency. In fact, she was convinced her state as an ex-casket girl was why she'd been hired in the first place. But her employment was conditioned on managing her appetites. She refused to go back to the convent, and she loved the work. So this was the last thing she needed. She'd have to make another trip to the bank, the 3rd this week, if she was to keep her hunger under control. So we now have a blood bank. That's this dude. Okay, and he goes up here somewhere, over here. Okay, and then we get to place one of these little red symbols underneath it to represent There's only for Julia. End your turn. Okay, intermission. We've reached an intermission, and I wonder. I think we can keep going a little bit, right? We can go a little bit longer, just a little bit. Okay, so we get to divide the experience. We've got 2, we've got 4, we've got 6. So we've got 3 each. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to put this over here. Now, with 3 experience, we get to draw new ability cards. So our new ability cards, we have all sorts. One's here. We've got these ones which are starting. I think they're locked and out of the game. But now, each one of these has a number on them. You'll be able to do this when the scenario rolls round. In the first intermission, we get to look at the new abilities. So we have to take them in this one, otherwise we can't do it next. So we have quick thinking. Let's just zoom in down here. Hopefully you'll be able to read that. In all tests, each star adds X to the roll total, where X is the lowest numerical value rolled in the test. If no numerical value is rolled, this does not trigger. I quite like that. Tell them you know me. So this little symbol means when you're doing a sort of a combined test, a group test, I think. Let's just double check. Cooperation. So if you're in the same place, so it's very subjective. In all charisma tests in that location, each effort die you lend adds 1 to the roll total. You may lend 1, ignoring location restrictions. Not sure how I feel about that one. And then the last one, you may gain a rum card when you unlock this ability at the start of each scenario and during intermissions by paying 1 experience or money. I think I might go quick thinking, you know. I quite like the idea of being able to add random dice. It does show you the cost up here. So I quite like that, being able to add to it. It's going to make us stronger in every roll that we do, potentially. So we have spent 3 to unlock this. These can go over here. And Mullins has got a little bit stronger. So let's just have a look at Julia. So we've got her cards here as well. We've got a 1 and a 1. And then we've got some starter cards, which will just kick out of the deck here because we can't use them. Okay. So we have responsible restraint. In all tests, if you have a 4th cube in the tested skill, add 1 to the roll total. So what that means is if we have another cube on any one of these tracks, so we had 4, we'll always add 1 to the results. Friendly neighborhood vampire. This is a cooperation one. In combat tests in your location, if you lend or receive any effort, add 1 to the dice roll. Not sure how I feel about that. Oh, appreciate you can't see these. Hold on. There you go. And veteran of time. In all tests, you may re-roll any number of standard dice. So we're going to be able to re-roll these dice once. I think that one feels like a good one to take. We could have upgraded some skills, but since this is the only opportunity for us to get these cards, we'll take them. It's 3 of these spent, and we can go back to this view, and the intermission is done. I think we'll continue. Refresh an effort die for Mullins. I'm a little bit worried about going here, but I do think we need more info from this, and he's our best hope. So we're going to visit this place. We're going to go back to the victim, investigate the body. We're going to spend all 3 of these. Okay, I forgot to name it. We got 8, which is 1 success. Okay, examine the symbol, examine the wheel. Let's examine the symbol. Written in Boussoir's blood was a series of symbols and lines that looked, at least to Mullins, as hieroglyphics. The bottom half of the symbols were smudged, however. Pulling out his notebook, Mullins quickly sketched the portion of the symbols that he could make out clearly. Take card 02. Okay, got some partial symbols, which we'll tuck down here as well. Okay. And gain 1 success. Perfect. Experience. Just to know that success and experience I'm going to use incorrectly over and over again. That's the end of our turn. That's all we could do. Refresh an effort die for Julia. Okay. And I think we may as well get her investigating as well. We need as much as we can get from this body. So let's just keep this going, and maybe we can send Mullins over. So we're investigating the body. We're going to roll all 3 of these. Okay. We got a 4 and a 3 and a 1. So we got 8, which is 1 success. Okay, examine the wheel. Let's do that. The wheel, where it wasn't stained with Boussoir's blood, looked old and weather-worn. To Paris's eyes, it looked authentic. She didn't think it had been recently made. The scene was horrifying, so her turn over. End her turn. We're back to Mullins. He gets an effort die. And I think we have to go here. We can't leave it any longer. Visit Orleans Avenue. So here we go. What happened to Mullins at Orleans Avenue? I'm going to get rid of this card because I don't think we need it any longer. And we're going to get some new ones. I'm also going to get rid of this because we know what we're doing up here. So we'll get rid of that one. We'll keep you up here. And place tile 16 face up. Okay, this is tile 16, so we'll place that here. Just zoom in for you guys to have a little peek. There you go. So this is the scene of the hit and run. Okay, a broken lamppost laid next to the sidewalk, flickering. Okay, on a park bench further down the street lay one of the city's omnipresent bums snoring beneath the newspapers. That's this guy. Okay, he's under the newspapers having a little snore. Okay, so we get to investigate the lamppost or the bum. Let's have a look at the lamppost. Okay, so we get our die back. I'm just going to roll 2, I think. Oh no, hold on. Examine the lamppost. Here we go. I'm going to roll 3. I'm going to guess we get 7. Okay, that is not ideal. We got 4. That isn't a single success. Okay, 0 successes. There were blue flecks of paint near the lamppost. Blue paint, the same colour as the dumpy Cortina that Mullins drove around. He was sure that if he examined the car, he'd find a fresh gash in the paint job. Improve our focus. Unfortunately, it improves our lowest level one, so we still need to roll a 10, which feels somewhat unlikely. Okay. Beyond the lamppost, by the light and the flickering bulb, Mullins found a dark patch on the sidewalk. Dried blood, recently dried. Nothing else stood out immediately, but Mullins could feel in his bones there was more to discover here. End your turn. Okay, so we need to investigate that again. Julia is back up with an extra effort die. We're going to go here and continue to investigate. We've got some more evidence that we need, right? Investigate the body. We need some successes. I'm rolling 3. Okay, we got a 6, 8. So that's 1 success. Retrieve the fibre. So we need to just roll. We need a 7 on 2 dice. Feels unlikely. We got a 4. Uh-oh. Paris pulled out a pair of tweezers and quickly glanced around the crime scene to check that no one was watching. She attempted to pick the fibre from the ropes, but it was about as subtle as a heart attack. Enough eyes were on her that she had to back off. The scene was horrifying. End your turn. Okay. Mullins is back with another die. And we're still over here, right? We are going to investigate this lamppost again. Examine around the lamppost more carefully. I think we're going to get a 7. Okay, we got 2 fails, but in all tests, each star adds X. X is the lowest number rolled. In this instance, we roll... Oh, sorry, you can't see any of this stuff. We rolled this, so a 3 and 2 success and 2 stars, and our skill over on Mullins' sheet is... In all tests, each star adds X to the total roll total, where X is the lowest numeric number. So we got 3, 6, 9. That is huge. That's 2 successes. In the corner of the dry blood the stain was a distinct shape. The blood had pooled and congealed around the object that was removed later, leaving a cross-shaped space on the sidewalk. Gain 1 experience. I used the right name. And someone had taken whatever had been lying in the blood. Mullins glanced over at the bum snoring on the bench. Dollars to donuts, that stinky piece of human refuse, knew about the missing object. Mullins doubled over, his breath coming into a ragged gasps. Even a shitty detective could piece together what had happened here. A car had jumped the curb, ploughed through the lamppost, and then splattered someone across the sidewalk. Given the amount of blood still left on the pavement, whoever had been hit was almost certainly dead. Uh-oh. The fact that there was no body or report of a hit and run on New Orleans Avenue, Mullins had already checked with his source the NOPD, was a curious detail that baffled him. Winter Mullins is about to face a timed decision. You will have 60 seconds to make this choice. Choose, or else Mullins' fate will be decided for you. The overwhelming evidence said that he had killed someone last night and driven away, his booze-drenched mind blocking out the memory. Mullins' alcoholism has finally caught up with him, and he was filled with remorse. All the evidence was circumstantial, and Mullins was damned if he was going to beat himself up over an imagined crime. Let's go with that one, right? We've already seen there's vampires. Maybe we hit one of those. Who knew what really happened? Could have been a dog that Mullins hit? Nah, fuck it. Mullins didn't have time for this shit. He had a murder to solve. This choice will be remembered and future consequences for Mullins. We get another experience. Okay. Hello? Hello? Oh, okay, we're done. So the lamppost comes off. Right. Oh, you can see what was happening. The thing just came to a halt. But I think we're back. So we remove the lamppost. That ends our turn. I think what we'll do is we'll keep the view kind of in this one. I think you'll be able to see most of it, unless we get a new crime scene in that. So we get to refresh one of Julia's dice. And we still need to try and get that piece of evidence, right? Let's try one more time. It's not an easy one for us. We're going to go over to the victim. We're going to, yes, visit the victim. I'm going to roll 3, and this is unlikely. I'm going to roll 3 again because we need a success just to do this. We got a 6, which is not a success. Oh, God. Paris felt a wave of nausea come over her. She had to quickly exit before she lost her lunch over the crime scene. Shit, this wasn't her first rodeo, but here she was, her stomach acting like she'd never seen a dead body before. She was just going to chalk it up to a day-old leftover she had for lunch and leave it at that. We get to refresh a die, which means we'll get another die at the start of our turn. Okay. Mullins is back with a die. He's going to question this bum over here, right? The bum. Visit the bum. Question him. Let's just roll 2 dice. I need a 5. I'm going to guess we get a 5. It's a 5. That means we get a success. So we get 2 successes. Okay, the bum looked pretty miserable and very drunk, but perhaps there was something to be learned. What can you tell me about the pool of blood? I don't know is a pool of blood. What's there to know, you know? I see pools of blood a lot of time. You know, and if I ain't lucky, could be my pool of blood. But that's not my pool of blood, you know? The bum pulled his threadbare coat tighter as if he was trying to hide something. Let's intimidate him. Man, leave me alone. I don't know shit. I didn't take nothing. What do you mean you didn't take nothing? Nobody mentioned taking anything. Ah, shit. Mullins shoved the bum back into the bench violently, frisked him as he tried to fight back, but he stated he couldn't have fought off a pack of kindergartners or even one kindergartner. Mullins pulled a small crucifix, get card number 7. It was speckled with blood. The bum looked sheepishly at Mullins. Hey, finders keepers, am I right? Whatever, man. It's probably not even worth nothing anyway. A crucifix. So that goes into Mullins' deck and place it on the character card. Okay. The bum is now gone. The card is now gone because we've completed investigating this scene. The symbol comes off. And I'm going to guess this comes off as well. Yeah, okay, great. And then we can put the card back. So let's do that. Your turn ends. Okay, so Mullins is even more concerned that he may have killed someone, but fair enough. Back to Paris. We've now got 2 dice. I'm going to try it again. So we're going to try one last time. If this fails, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll 3 dice for this. We do get to re-roll, which I forgot. But we got a 6-7, which is what we needed to investigate the body. So that's 1 success. And then we're going to try and retrieve this fibre. Again, we're going to roll 2 dice, or 3 dice, because we've got 1 more in our reserve. So we got a success and a 2 and a 1. So I can re-roll these. So let's do that. Okay, we got a star and a 2. So we get 1 success. Paris pulled out a pair of tweezers and quickly glanced around the crime scene to check that no one was watching. She quickly snagged a strand of rope and stood up, a furtive look at the forensics team, and she knew her actions had gone unnoticed. Take strand 04. Okay, so we now have a strand of rope. We're getting some clues. Okay, tuck this down here. And gain 1 experience. Love that. Okay, Paris looked down at Boussoir's ruined corpse. She felt confident there was nothing else for the dead man to tell them. So we get to remove the scene. We remove the thing here as well, the point of interest. But the detective stays. Okay, your turn ends. Mullins is back with a refreshed die. Now, what's Mullins going to do? We've got some evidence. What do we do with it? Let's go to Robichaux's home, because this is the other place. So it's up here. This is where we know that a similar murder had been carried out. So let's go there. And we get card number 12. Okay, card number 12 is here. So let's just quickly zoom. Oh, wrong one. Let's zoom in on that. There you go. That's card number 12. The Robicheaux Residence. There was still a crime scene tape across the front door, but it appeared that no one had set foot inside for a very long time. A thick coat of dust, undisturbed, lay across everything. Okay, so we have the bedroom as a point of interest, as always, as well it should be. The door off the hallway led into a bedroom, likely where the victim and her husband had slept. I mean, that makes sense. The door led out the back. Through the screen to that door, led the door to the backyard. Mullins could just make out the outline of a tool shed. The body of Maria Robicheaux had been found in there. Okay, so the back door is on here as well. Okay, so that is our setup for this location. Okay, we can go to the bedroom. Let's go visit the bedroom. Mullins looked around the bedroom. A fine blanket of dust lay over everything. Nothing had been touched. It was a home for ghosts. Judging by the layer of dust, nothing had been touched. Investigate or detect the arcane. Let's do some investigation first. So I'm going to roll 3 dice. I didn't say a number. Okay, we've got 7, which is 1 success. On the desk was an old jar, stuffed with forgotten money. Written on the side were the words "Rainy Day Fund." Mullins pocketed what was there while trying not to feel horrible, failing spectacularly. Take 1 money, I can do that, and place it in your character's inventory. We've got free cash now. Look at us go. Okay. This ends your turn. Us stealing from the dead people's houses ends our turn. Fair enough. Okay. We're back to Julia. We get an effort die back. What's Julia doing? So she could go to Robichaux's house as well. Let's do it. I like the idea of them sticking together. So let's get her in the bedroom because there is arcane here. Detect the arcane. She's okay at that. She's going to use all 3 of her dice. She's got a 7, which is 1 success. She can re-roll this one, so I'm going to. We got another 3, so that's 9, which is 2 successes. Some subtle energy was emanating from the pillow. It turned out to be a very potent amulet made of black stone. Take card 06 from the consumables deck and place it in your inventory. Okay, we've got 06 here. Let's just tuck 03 back. So just so you're aware, there's a load of cards that are all 01, for example, because there's multiple of the same item. So although there's a big deck of these cards, they're not all unique. And this is the pendant, a black pendant. In any test, you may add 2 successes. Investigate the room or end our turn. We don't need to investigate the room. I think we're done here. Let's end our turn. And we're back to Mullins. Okay, we're still here. Visit the Robichaux's house. We're going to go through the back door. Okay, we can take off the point of interest. We get a new card, which is 13. which is here. Okay, let's just zoom in on that so you can have a little look. That's the wrong one. There you go. So 13 is the Robicheaux Residence back garden. The Robicheaux back garden, left unattended for so long, had grown wild. We have the shed point of interest. We have the tool shed stood alone in the yard, its grimy windows dark. That must be where the other victim, Maria Robicheaux, had been found. There is a pile of ashes down here. The earth was blackened. In the corner of the yard, there was a scorched patch of earth, as if a fire had been lit here. And then there is a derelict garden. Nature had reclaimed large parts of the yard, and numerous garden tools lay scattered around the place. Okay, that feels to me like we're going to find a way in. So let's do that. We might find a crowbar or something for the garden shed, right? I'm going to roll 2. I'm going to roll all the dice. Here we go. I didn't say a number, you idiot. We got 5. 5 is 1 success. There amongst the weed, Mullins found a sturdy crowbar, which might come in handy. Take card 16 from the consumables deck. I can do that. Okay. Here we go. We have a crowbar. In any combat test, add 1 to the total roll for each number rolled. So in this instance, it would be another 3 to those numbers that we could add. Okay, so that's that done. Shed is done. Let's go to the shed. Oh, I get to remove this. Is that the end of my turn? Quite possibly, yeah. Your turn ends. Okay. Julia's back up with her extra effort die. She's still at the Robicheaux's house, right? She's going to search this pile of ashes, I guess, because the other one's got the crowbar. Paris looked closer in the corner of the yard. It was black and charred. The grass burned the grass away. And in its place, a pile of charcoal-like residue. It looked ordinary, like an ordinary fire pit, like many kinds of family had in their backyards. We get to roll all 3 of these. We need a 7. Okay, we got a 3 and a 2 and a star. The star doesn't count for anything. So the best I can hope for is a 4 on this one. We got 2. So we got 5. That's no successes. Paris looked closer, but nothing jumped out. Just a black mess cornering the forgettable backyard. Refresh one of your die. Okay, so we're going to be able to try a little bit harder next time. Okay, Mullins gets an effort die. And he's still at Robicheaux's house. And he's still trying to get in the shed now, right? Force the shed, break in using an object. So we obviously want to break in using our object here. We're going to scan in our crowbar. The rusty padlock broke easily. It might have served us to stop a raccoon from breaking in, but it was no match for Winter fucking Mullins. Okay, so we don't have to get rid of our thing. We can investigate the shed. So we're going to roll all 3 of these. I'm going to guess we get 7. Okay, we got a 3 and 1 success. So when we get a star, we didn't get a star. So we've got 1 success. Mullins examined the planks and the dusty tools. Everything in the shed, nothing seemed amiss, but there was a tug on the back of his brain that he had come to trust. He was missing something important, but he didn't know what. Okay, we get to refresh another die, so we're going to have an extra die when we're doing that next time. Okay, Paris is back, and she's got an extra die as well. She's going to go into the shed, and she is going to attempt to search using the arcane. So she's rolling 4 dice. She needs at least a 6, but a 9 would be great. Okay, we got more than a 9. We've got 6, 10, 12. That's 3 successes. Okay. The words come out like a punch, and Paris instantly knew where to look. She shoved a burlap sack of soil to the side, and underneath, scrawled in blood, were clear symbols that hadn't been in the crime scene photos. Pulling out of her notebook, Paris sketched what she saw in blood. Take 06, the partial symbols. Okay, there are the partial symbols. So we've got 2 sets of partial symbols, and gain 1 experience. Paris looked at both sketches and then placed one sheet over the other. They merged symbols. Whatever it was connected the murders of Maria Robicheaux and Frank Bissot to one another. Discard 02 and 06. Let's just have a look at those so you can see them here. So you can see what they look like separately. And find card 08. Okay, let's just put them back in order. Where did I do with card 8? Yeah, okay, perfect. So now we have this here, the combined sketches. So intriguing. I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but looks like a grave or something, a tombstone, something at a cemetery maybe. Not sure. Gain 1 success. Did I do that? I don't think I did. Okay. Shed has been searched. There's nothing new to find here. Okay. So we could go to the pile of ashes. No, we remove that. That ends our turn. And we're at an intermission, and this feels like a really good place to end it. So let's just do our leveling up. We divide experience. So we've got 2 and 2 and 2. So 3 each. So we'll put these over here. And we'll put these over here. And let's have a little look at what that means. So zooming into Mullins. Now we can't do anything with bonus cards, but we can level something up. So what you can see on these boards is if we wanted to level up one of these cubes in this section to say from 5 to 4, we'd have to spend 4 experience. In this section 3, in this section 2. So we've got 3 to spend. I think it makes sense to spend it. I'm going to spend it on focus. I'm going to bring this down by 1 in the hope that we become a better detective. Okay, and then Julia is also going to spend 3, I guess. What happens when you send 1 cube into another? Let's have a little look. It does say in here, moving skill points. So when being forced to move the rightmost cube would end its move in an occupied slot. Do not move the rightmost cube. Instead, move the next rightmost cube from second cube on the right. Repeat this when needed with the third cube until a cube is unable to be moved into the unoccupied slot, or is able to be moved in an unoccupied slot. No cubes are required to be moved. If the rightmost cube would ever move off its track, the leftmost cube is in the leftmost position. So I don't know. Skills can be improved. The cost to move a skill, moving a cube into, so it tells me in slot. It doesn't say I can't expand this into here. But I'm guessing if I wanted to expand that one into there, I'd then have to pay 4. So I think I can't do combat. We could do this. We could save up, to be honest. What if we worked on charisma for her? Bring this one down 1 because that might help. Or do we just wait? You know what? I could spend 2 and move this down here. I'm going to hold on to these, I think. Let's not level up at all. We are going to wrap up here. This has been the Dark Quarter. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit the like button, subscribe button, follow us on all of the social medias. It would mean a huge amount if you could leave a comment, if you could share the video, because as with YouTube's algorithm and everything else, that engagement really does help boost the channel. If you want to go a step further and support the channel, check out the Patreon. We've got loads of unique content on there, and lots of interesting stuff. We're also going to put some of these episodes up there early. So if you want to see the next episode, it will be there right now to go and watch. So that's this has been the Dark Quarter. We'll wrap up here. It's an interesting one, right? I think most of this stuff isn't really required, let's be honest. You could do all of this in just an app. And there's a warning at the start of the game which says you have to have the board game to play. Not sure how true that is. But, you know, I think as it goes, I do like a narrative game. This one's a little interesting. We'll wrap up here and we will come back. I'm just going to show you the save mechanism so we can have a look at that together. So we'll hit save, tap to add and remove the skills. So Mullins' skill has got a 5, he's got an 8, and he's got a 10. His combat is 7, 9, and 11. That's all good. 6, 8, and 11, yeah. And then 5, 7, and 10. It would be good if these had the divides in. That would help, so you could see where they split. So that's all good. He's got a couple of cards available. So he's got Gambling Man and Quick Thinking. And then he's got money and a crucifix and some rum. We need to scan the additional items. So we're going to scan this crowbar in, because he's got that as well. So this is just going to help us reload this when we get to it. We've spent the rum and we've got some money. So that's that. We've got 2 effort die and no experience. Let's spend... Did we spend Charlotte's experience? No, we saved her experience, right? Charlotte. Don't know why I called her Charlotte. Julia's. Right, we have 7, 10 and 11 on this track. We've got this one is moved up here. We've got that is correct, and we've got those are correct. Okay, so that's that. We've got Rush of Hunger and Veteran of Time. And then we've got another card that we need to scan, which is the Black Pendant, which seems like it could be really powerful. I wonder if we need to save that to Absolute Clutch Time. Then we've got money and a love potion and a Black Pendant. That is everything. We've got no effort die, but we've got 3 experience. And as a group team experience, we've got 0. And that is that. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all of those things. I don't know why I'm telling you this again. And I will see you all again soon. Thank you so much.